we'll be learning how to use the sigma notation in this video. The sigma notation is this, and the meaning is sum. So if I give you this I from 5 to 11 ui, means you sub I as 5, so you get u5. Then you add, you sub I as 6, sub I as 7, all the way until I as 11. So sigma notation summation ui I from 5 to 11 is same as you add u5, u6 until u11. So if you have I from m to n, then you start with un plus 1 until un. Remember, we define Sn to be u1 plus u2 until un. So which means Sn can be written in sigma notation as summation ui I from 1, then you start at n. Let's put some example. If I given this summation I over I plus 1, I from 2 to 5, if you write this out, it should be, first you put I as 2, so we 2 over 2 plus 1, you put I as 2, then you put I as 3, so we 3 over 3 plus 1, then you put I as 4, so it should be plus 4 over 4 plus 1, then plus 5 over 5 plus 1. So the answer is 2/3 plus 3/4 plus 4 over 5 plus 5 over 6. Let's look at the second example. Summation r from 0 to 3, square root of r squared plus 1. So we put r as 0. So it's 0 squared plus 1. Then plus, you put r as 1. You put r as 2. Put r as 3. So the answer is same as square root of 1 plus square root of 2 plus square root of 5 plus square root of 10. Okay, let's look at the reverse direction. If I give you 1/5 plus 1 over 6 plus 1 over 7 until 1 over 99, then how to write it in sigma notation? You see that it's 1 over something. That is 1 over 5, 1 over 6 until 1 over 99. So that means you can write it as 1 over I, and I start from 5, and you start at 99. So that means you can give this as answer summation I from 5 to 99, then 1 over I. You put I as 5, you get 1/5. Put I as 6, you get 1 over 6, and so on until you put I as 99, you get 1 over 99. Okay, now the question is, can you give a different answer? Can you give a different answer? The answer is, actually you can give a different answer. Right? In our answer here, I start from 5, right? Then I consider the fraction 1 over I. Let me show you a different answer. You can also do this. Summation I equal to 1, and then you consider 1 over I, right? If you put I as 1, you only get 1. So which means you must add 4. You put 95 will do, because 95 plus 4 is 99. So you find that you consider the fraction 1 over I plus 4 instead of instead of 1 over I. Instead of 1 over I, you consider the fraction 1 over I plus 4. Then you will find that you give the same answer. Right? So with that, you put I as 1, you get 1/5. You put I as 2, you get 1 over 6. You put I as 95, you get 99, right? Okay. So the answer is not unique. It depends on what you choose as your term. So which means you can give many answers. Right? If you choose I start from 2, then you should consider 1 over I plus 3. Because 2 plus 3 will give you 5, will give you 1 over 5. And here you should stop at 96 instead of 95. And the last term will be 1 over 96 plus 3. Right? So the last term will be 1 over 96 plus 3, which is 1 over 99. Right? So answer is not unique. It depends on how you choose your index I and how you choose the term. Huh? How about this one? The numerator is 2, 4, 8, 16 until 1024. Huh? So you observe all these are actually powers of 2. This is 2 power 1, this is 2 power 2, 2 power 3, 2 power 4, until 2 power 10. Then denominator is 1, 2 until 10. So just nice. So next you can write it as summation I from 1 to 10. Then 2 power I over I, right? So that's it. How about part 5? So we have square root 1 times square root 2, square root 2 times square root 3 until the nth term. So u1 is square root 1 times 2. u2 is square root 2 times 3, right? All the way until un. So let's write down u3. u3 is square root of 3 times 4. So you see that when it's 3, it's 3 then 4. When it's 2, it's 2 then 3. Yeah? So which means this one should be square root of n plus 1. Yeah? So which means you can give the answer as summation I equal to 1 to n and square root of I plus 1. Yeah? You put I as 1, you see square root of 1 times 2. You put I as 2, you see 2 times 3. Yeah? Square root of 2 times 3. You put I as n, you get n times n plus 1 square root. So the answer is summation I from 1 to n square root of I plus 1.